everybody, and welcome back to the Hilltop Pillbox here in Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada. And today, we're going to be playing a solo game of 2025 Meltdown, a global war game from Historical Board Gaming, the latest offering, which I was proud to be a part developer on and playtester. I did some playtesting on this for about a year and a half, and I went through all the different iterations that we went through, and then we ended up with this gem. I tell you, it's a fantastic game. We'll be playing that in just, well, not in a minute, but for you it'll be a minute. But before that, I want to take a look at this. This is a wonderful little gift. This is a wooden box, handmade by my good buddy Triple Crown. I was just at his place a couple days ago, and we were doing some work on an unauthorized, what do you call it, adaptation, modification of a current game. And we're working through it. Lots of great ideas coming out of it. And we'll fill you in on that once we've got the authorization to do so. But what I want to focus on here on the box is this pin. And this is the actual pin from the Calgary Tank Regiment. And the connection for me is a very special one. During the Dieppe raid in August 1942, a young man, just 22 years old, by the name of Captain Douglas Gordon Purdy, was killed in his tank. As he as the story goes, he was in the tank. You know, you're buttoned up in the tank, ready to jump into the water with it. And the naval raiding, who was running the ramp, lowered the ramp. He was lowering it so the commander could see, but they never trained for that. It was, we're going to lower the ramp, you go, right? Because as soon as that ramp's down, you go. And so the naval rating was thinking, oh boy, you better see what you got to see. And he lowered it, and then Captain Purdy moved the tank forward and into the water far away from the shore. And it sank. He drowned in there. That was it was a horrible day for many reasons, and that's a very personal one for me and my family. 6 weeks later, a little boy was born, and they called him Douglas Gordon Purdy. And that was my father. And Captain Douglas Gordon Purdy, I forgot to mention, is my avatar. So if you look at that right now, that's him. That's him. And so this is the pin that he would have had. And so Triple Crown found this for me online, purchased it, shined it up, and gave it to me on this box. And this is just an amazing gesture, something that is very special to me as well. And I tell you, folks, Triple Crown and Doug at HBG, YG, Moffett Field, G.I. Joe, and Sky Marshal, the artist formerly known as Panzer King, have all been very generous, and others have been as well in different ways. And it makes me want to keep doing the channel. So thanks for the support, and we're going to get down to the game now. This is just a fantastic game. It's so much fun. There's so many little parts to it, and I got to tell you, it is difficult to play solo, mainly because of the cyber warfare. You're just not sure, from turn to turn what's going to happen with that, and it's tough to really get ready for what your enemy can do. And so what you do is you hope for the best, you plan for the worst, and we'll see what we see. So round one is coming up. We got all the dice ready to go. Got our little nukes going. Got the cash. Got to put the cash out by the cards, but there it is. It's a beautiful cash, came with the game, just from HBG. So, all right, folks, here we go. The war is about to begin. Probably going to be a lot of Russians over here in a second. All right, so the East has had its turn, and what a turn it was. You can see Israel fell. Not without some great cost, though. The Caliphate, they lost a lot of stuff taking it, but take it they did, as they typically do. There was no battling here in Korea. It's a very expensive proposition, so the Chinese just built a couple of infantry divisions there defense. If you don't know, you can only take one round of attack per turn, and it's made for the defender. So you really got to pile in a ton of stuff to make it worth your while. Out here in the Atlantic, the Chinese fired and the Russians fired a bunch of cruise missiles. They all missed. Nothing hit, nothing. But the Chinese did have a bit of success here in this sea, and they did take Japan, although, again, they lost a couple of units doing it. They also tried to take Okinawa, because Okinawa is a very important place because they can fire cruise missiles out of there, because it's got the... Oops, sorry for my shadow, folks. I'm trying to get used to this new lighting. It's got the air base. You can fire cruise missiles out of there and fire cruise missiles out of South Korea. So these Chinese carriers might be in trouble. I just built a carrier and a fighter for the Chinese. I think it's important to be very strong in the Pacific, because if America gets too big, then China's just playing defense. Down here, India is a smoking hole in the ground. Yes. The Caliphate sent all 3 of their intermediate range ballistic missiles, and the Chinese fired a sub-launch ballistic missile, and that's what did it. The Caliphate softened them up pretty well, took away all the infantry units, and then the big one came in from the Chinese ballistic sub, which obviously is gone now. It gets taken off the board when it fires, but that was kind of my plan right out at the beginning, was to just nuke it till it glows and then go in there at night. But this will get removed at the end of the Pacific turn, and then they'll be able to place up to 8 units there. So, but that's a really tough way to lose stuff at the beginning. Let's see, what else have we got here? Well, we got that. The Caliphate did take Eastern African states for the loss of 1 guy. They had a fighter in there helping him out. Not much else there. Russia took Turkey and took it on the 2nd round. So, yeah. Balkan states, however, did not fall because the 2nd round did not get enough hits. You can only get 2 rounds of combat here. And all this stuff here was unable to take care of it. Here, though, and here both fell, but the Russians likely won't hold it. But the point is to push NATO backwards, and that they did. They've also closed the Danish Straits by taking it with airborne, and they also took Scandinavia. So this is all closed up. Their fleet is nice and safe, somewhat anyway, from naval attacks anyway. And here the Russians have 3 subs, and they fired, and all cruise missiles missed again. Not a lot of luck. I think the East fired a total of 10 cruise missiles, 9 cruise missiles this turn, and nothing. Nothing at all. But the Russians did have some success. Very first roll of the game. And boom, they took that. Got a 6 and took it. So 4 extra bucks, some cruise missiles, and a frigate that they were able to utilize up there as a little bit of a defense. So now America's got more stuff to kill and have now lost the use. They typically come down here and try to take Brazil, but that's already been done. So kind of a hot-cold round for the East. They did very well, but now the Allies, or not the Allies. See, this is the problem. You go back into that old language. The Western Alliance can now use 4 nuclear weapons without losing a point. So, was it worth it? Was it worth it, knowing that these guys are broke now? I mean, like, marginally broke. They are down to $25 as opposed to the 31 that they start with. So they got 25 bucks, and they have to somehow create a defense here. So it's likely just going to be infantry. But we'll see. Maybe they get to nuke this one here and nuke this one here, and they'll be safe for a turn. But they can use 4 nukes. 4 nukes. So we'll see where those land. It's going to be interesting. And we'll see if Americans can get through this minor blockade and get stuff over to Europe. Hang on, we'll let you know. All right, so round one is done, and what we're going to do here is we're going to tell you how this works, because I've had some people ask me on other videos, not even ones for this, they say, how does that victory point track? Well, it's quite simple. So I've used this one here for the Western Alliance, and I've used this one for the Eastern Alliance. And I think I did it right, but we'll just walk it through. So, to start the game, the Eastern Alliance used a nuke. When you do that, you lose a victory point. Okay. Then, they captured Berlin, they captured Israel, and they captured Tokyo. So when they captured Berlin, Israel, and Tokyo, that's what happens, is you gain one and the opposition loses a point. If you ever get to here, you automatically lose. Get to here, you automatically win. Now, during the Western Alliance turn, the Western Alliance was able to get back one of the cities. It was Berlin. So we move up one, and the Eastern faction moves down one. And that's how it works. But I gotta tell you, using those nukes on round one might not have been a great idea for the Eastern Alliance. Put your thoughts below as to what you think. Now, they got hit with 4 nukes, but they got hit in 4 different zones. They got hit here in the Central Caliphate, where they had 2 fighters and a tank, I think. And they're gone now. And they're very expensive. So that is, well, it's pretty irreplaceable. Right? So that was 30 bucks worth of stuff. And their income right now as it stands is 17. Plus they had to pay, for this one here, they lost another 5 units. Because that's the max they can lose, is whatever the value is, the red number there. They lost 5 there, so that's another $15. Plus they had to pay 5 bucks in damages, because it was a sub-launched ballistic missile, courtesy of your friends at the Pacific Coalition. Then over here, we had a sub-launched nuclear cruise missile, and or was it just a cruise? No, it was a nuclear something. I forget who launched this one. But anyway, it was launched. Didn't do that much damage, just a couple of units, I think, maybe 3 units, so not really a big deal there. It was a small yield. And same with this one over here, kind of a small potatoes. I think there was 3 damage to that one. That was the American Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. Maybe it was 4. Yeah, I think they rolled a 2. So they only lost 4 units and 3 bucks, because you can only lose 3. That's why I thought they lost 3 units. So, yeah, not really effective strikes. But they were able to get Berlin back. And they got 3 units in there right now. And the Russians are actually not looking that good right now. I'm thinking maybe that charge through to Berlin might not be the way to go. Maybe firing a tactical nuke into there is the way to go, and then build up and go for it. But I was just trying this out. I saw it on a couple other channels where somebody just said, let's just nuke here and go for it. But the Western Alliance was able to keep the Eastern Alliance at bay here in Europe, only giving up 3 territories, being able to recapture Denmark. They lost an airborne doing it, but they killed an airborne doing it. And so they've closed the Danish Straits, so there's no threat of invasion, and there's no airborne forces here. So for now, UK is safe. Yeah, America was able to airlift and sea lift a bunch of stuff over here. Got a range of 6 on that, and they can airlift 2 things and sea lift 3 things, so that's 5 units that they could bring on over. And then these planes were ones that took part in some exercises and then flew, well, the helicopter flew here and the fighter flew here. I think it was, might have gone too far. I'm going to move him back there. But then the airlift, or the sea lift, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, can get into the Balkans. So anyway, just trying to put a bit of hurt on the Soviets over there. Well, I guess, sorry, the Russians, not the Soviets. Down here in Africa, America was able to wrest control of the Eastern African states from the Caliphate. Took till the 3rd turn, unfortunately, and they ended up losing the South African infantry. But able to take that. Now the Caliphate can come back and attack, but as you can see, they've got not much to hit back with. They do have a couple of tanks in Israel with a chopper. They'll likely come after the Eastern African states because after that it's all easy. Now, down here in South America, the Americans were able to destroy the Soviet contingent. I really got to stop saying Soviet. The Russian contingent and take Brazil for themselves, the $4, but they did lose a tank and some infantry doing it, and the Russians are still here and will, well, they could cause some more grief. So America is not out of the woods yet, and there's still a Soviet sub lurking around here and another one up in the North Atlantic. Over on the Pacific side, not much went on. The Pacific Coalition tried to sink some subs here, but the subs just submerged. Now they're on silent running. Now the nice thing about silent running is if subs on silent running, you can just drive right by it and do all that kind of stuff. You can do a airlift, sea lift, all that kind of stuff. Well, sea lift, I guess. They don't care much about airlifts, I guess, when you're in a tube under the water. But the sea lift can go right by. So that helped us out a little bit. We could move some stuff around a little bit more easily. And built here a frigate and a destroyer, guided missile destroyer, and we put a fighter on the east coast to head over to help out the Europeans. Pretty quiet here though, pretty quiet. We'll have to see what the Chinese are going to be up to. Of course, they can't move into or out of Southeast Asia right now. Iran, Pakistan, and the Central Caliphate, nothing can move, but there's not much alive either, so that's probably not going to be much of a problem. And the other nuke zone here is Ukraine, Belarus. So that stuff is stuck there. And we'll see what the Russians can come up with using just infantry. And they've got a fighter and an attack helicopter over there. And of course they got, cruise missiles and nukes if they want to, right? They could possibly use nukes here. Not sure if it's worth it. But time will tell. Time will tell indeed. Round 2 coming up. What will China do? Okay, I'm done the Eastern factions turn. I was starting to do the Western alliance, I guess, not faction, and I realized I had forgotten to do the wrap up of the Eastern turn. So the Russians were able to capture Siberia back. I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but the Americans landed a single infantry in there successfully. Over here, there was some sinking of submarines, and some who went on silent running, and some who fired missiles, and all the rest. Lots and lots and lots of fun. If we look at what we got going over here, the nuclear blast markers are gone, as you can see, and no new ones have appeared. The Eastern Alliance decided not to launch any more nukes right now. Plus, the West has a preponderance of nukes. The East does have a fair amount as well, but yeah, it didn't quite work out as well for them as they hoped. And knowing that anything that gets nuked is trapped, that really slowed down the East this last turn, because Ukraine, Belarus was nuked. Nothing could get out of there, and that's where they actually had some air power. So nothing happened in Europe for them. They just kind of sat there, and the West was able to take Germany back last turn, as we saw, and the East just didn't have the horses to go back in there and try to take it. And I did have to move the fighter back from here. I messed up with that, so I just did a regular movement there because I used all my strategic air movement moving the infantry and the tanks, so everything else had to just do regular movement to come across. But we did end up with a fighter in Britain as well. The Caliphate was very successful. They took this without losing anything, and then the tank blitzed through here and took that. And remember, you can do 3 attacks per turn with the unit. So as it came through here, if this had taken 3 turns, you wouldn't be able to come here. But there was only the American chopper here, so they blitzed right through. And that's about the only thing of real note that took place. Everything else was just kind of shoring up the defenses. So things didn't really happen too much here. We were at +1 for the east and -2 for the west. So they lost Joburg and they gained Joburg. So that there. All right, so we're going to carry on with the west, and we will let you know how that turns out. Is India going to go take a poke at Iran, Pakistan? Maybe. Lots of bad guys back here, though. All right, the West turn 2 is done, and wow. A huge battle took place here, and the Chinese fleet is no more. All they got left is a single sub. And yeah, the dice rolling was pretty okay for both sides. They just had so much more stuff, so it was over pretty quickly. And there's still quite a bit of stuff left over. They did lose a few things, though. It's not like the Chinese and the Russian fleet just kind of walked, to the bottom of the ocean. It was a good tangle, but there's just so much more Western Alliance hardware in the sea zone. Plus, they fired a whole bunch of, well, not a whole bunch. I think it was actually just one, two. Two cruise missiles from the guided missile destroyer and one off the airbase in South Korea. And I think they actually both missed. But anyway, not good. And the Chinese fired all 5 of their anti-ship ballistic missiles. All 5 missed. Wasn't even close. They were like 8s, 9s, 12s. Wasn't even close. They shoot at a 4 as opposed to most cruise missiles shooting at a 3. So had they smacked a couple of those in there, might have done a little bit of a different battle. But as it stands, India's all bulked up now. Got 14 infantry sitting in there. That's the best I could do. Didn't have any other money to spend. So I had $25 to spend or something, and yeah, just kind of spent it all on the infantry there. And the Caliphate tried to bulk up a little bit. But the big story is, yes, Jerusalem has been liberated. Don't know if they're going to hold it, but hey, it's there for now. And that moved the victory point marker closer to each other. And, oh, look at this. I forgot about this guy. All right, got distracted. So, bit of a fool's errand. We have an airborne who can move 3 from an airbase. So it's here, 1, 2, 3. Going to take a poke here because this would be a bit of a coup if you could take that. So we'll give him the nice blue die here, looking for a 2. This is nah, not good odds. Oh, you saw that one kind of poke its head up there, and yeah, okay, well, that was fun. All right, but these airborne troops, can't believe I forgot that battle, are very important. In fact, I built a couple for America and one for NATO this round, and I'm going to have to replace Russia and China's airborne troops as well because they really need them. It's very important. Also, at the beginning of the West turn, they used all of their cyber warfare income to just hammer down on the Caliphate, and they ended up taking $15 off the Caliphate, so they're down to $7 this turn. Things are not looking too good for the East, I'm here to tell you. And with all the different moves that could be done, this is what it looks like now in Europe. And I think the nukes might fly, just out of desperation for the Eastern Coalition. They just might have to. They might have to launch some nukes here and try to set things right. Not much going on here. I think I tried to load up North Korea to do a bit of an attack, but then they landed a couple of the fighters from the Sea of Japan battle here, and now it doesn't look quite so fun. But hey, you just do one round. What could possibly go wrong? And maybe we'll use one of those intermediate range ballistic missiles. What do you say? All right, so best of luck to the Eastern Coalition here. They are in trouble. They're in trouble. They did have a little success here. We're able to grab that via the diplomatic, I forget what it's called all of a sudden. But we're able to take it with a simple die roll. And what they did was they put their money into lowering the die roll in the diplomatic phase. And I'm just going to do that, what that's called. And here we go, the geopolitical influence. Right? And so they rolled, and each 6 is a success that adds +1 to the next roll. So what happened was, you have to roll a 6, and the Caliphate actually rolled two 6s on that, so they actually added 2 to their die roll, and then they rolled a 4, which is what they needed. So they took the Western African troops and the money from it. So should probably cover that up. And there you go. So Africa's doing what Africa does. You know, the Caliphate usually rips through there. But now that America has been able to subdue the Russians in Venezuela for the cost of a, what do you call it? Helicopter. That kind of sucked. So the Russians here are probably going to die this turn. But again, this has taken a lot of effort out of Europe. But I think that first charge with those 7 Russian tanks did not work out. I don't think it worked out. Don't think I'm ever going to do that again. As nice as it is to get that $7, right? As nice as that is, you just lose your 7 tanks, and they're gone, and they're expensive. So, and that builds 1 tank, and then 1/6 of a tank. For the loss of 7 tanks, doesn't seem worth it. All right. Well, there we go. That's it for round 2. On to round 3. We're going to see if China can recoup some of their navy here, rebuild it. They got a decent amount of cash. They got $41, I think, to spend. And see if they're able to put some boats in the water here to kind of go after that. Whew, not looking good. Okay, just a little note that hopefully I'll remember to edit and put in before anybody gets too upset. Yeah, the Chinese actually can only fire into this zone 3 missiles because they can only fire 1 per naval base that they have bordering there, and that's all they got. They do have this one here, but it has to be Chinese home territory, so that includes North Korea, and East China has 2. All right, and then down here we got another one, we got another one, we got another one, right? So they can fire into all those at a 4, and they just all miss. So I fired 5, so we're gonna let them have 2 of those back, and we'll just carry on. Well, I'd say it's the Wild West, but in fact I think it's the Wild East. Yes, they decided to launch some nukes, and I think I may have actually forgotten one thing, and that is that Venezuela is a victory city. And I didn't take that into account, so we're going to have to do it like that. So East is not looking really good right now, but we're going to see just what they did this turn. Well, they were able to take Central African states, but they did lose in their attack. They sent in their 2 men and a cruise missile from the sub here, and nothing. And the lone tank was able to destroy them in 2 rounds of combat. And not much going on up here. Fired a cruise missile and missed. Oh, I did it again. Forgot about the battle here. Battle for Denmark. So we've got a chopper with a drone, and we've got 2 regular infantry. Nothing. Here's the chopper with the drone. Okay, so that's a hit. So if you don't understand the drones, it's pretty simple. You just assign it to any unit, and then you roll 2 dice and take the one you want. But you can still only get 1 hit. You can't get 2 hits. So Denmark has been taken by Russia, and no hit in defense. So the Russians actually are going to get $1 more. I'm going to switch places with NATO here. So we'll give the Russians $1 more. And to go on their stack. But boy, there's a lot of nukes here. Once again, India got pummeled for 8. Craziness there. And Germany got hit again. And so did France. France got absolutely annihilated. Everything is gone from there. And most of the stuff got hit. It was kind of low numbers. I think it was like a 1 and a 2 or something, like 3 maybe. So not a lot of damage. Well, not all the damage that Russia probably wanted. But of course these units are stuck there now. But Italy, the Italian area is free to roam, so they might go take a poke there. The Russian attack in Greece sputtered and failed. The Russian attack in the Balkans Balkan states sputtered and failed. They're just not having any luck right now with the dice. They didn't try to take back Israel because, well, good grief, there's just too many victory cities around here, and they're likely going to end up losing them now. The Caliphate made not too bad scratch this turn, made 22 bucks, but they got hit so bad last turn they only put 4 infantry on this entire round, and that includes one lone fella down there. And who else got nuked? Oh, over here. Yes, South Korea is now empty except for clouds of radioactive dust. And Taiwan got hit as well. I think only for 5 though. I think 5 damage. So, yeah, not as bad as South Korea. They got absolutely annihilated and then some. So, the total number of nuclear weapons used by the East that turn was 13. So, as you can see, the Russians, they spent all 6 of their ICBMs. The Chinese launched all of their IRBMs and the sub-launched ballistic missile. And Russia also launched a couple others. So, yeah, anyway, it was 13. So now the West is going to reply in kind, and I can only assume that the following territories are going to get vaporized. Probably those 2. Definitely Iran, Pakistan, and definitely the Caliphate. Definitely North Korea. After that, who knows? Probably Ukraine. That's a pretty tasty target there. But America still has a good number of ICBMs to launch. And they got their ballistic missiles as well. So, yeah. A very desperate move by the East. And, of course, the West will not go down for replying to what they did. So, should be fun. All right. Show you what happens if we survive. Well, as we head into turn 4, I think we're seeing that the Western powers are starting to run away with it. America's up at 49. China's been pushed back to 35. NATO is quite resurgent here, having recouped most of their pre-war territory and took a little bit. We'll show you that in a moment. Even the Pacific Coalition is not far off from their original money. The Caliphate, while up a little bit, you'll see is not doing very well at all. And the Russians are back to the status quo. Over here, they couldn't launch another nuke this turn. If they launched a nuke this turn, they will lose the game automatically, as that will put them at the auto loss. On this one, the NATO continues to have the hot hand when it comes to tech. They got tech again, and yeah, they got the anti-ballistic missile, which actually works for all missiles. So anytime somebody fires a nuke into your territory, you can roll. If you get a 4 or less, you shoot it down. So you become a little less attractive of a target. Well, lots of mushroom clouds floating around Africa and the Middle East. And you can see that all those territories are now empty. They're devoid of life. Over here, the Chinese didn't get hit quite so hard. It's just a little nuke, a little tactical nuke. Took out, I think, a couple of men and 1 tank. That's about it. Pretty bad roll on that one. But over here, yeah, South Korea now holds a numerical advantage of 1. And the North Koreans have been erased, as have most of the Chinese contingent here. We fired some cruise missiles into East China, killed a bunch of stuff, and yeah, it was just really bad. Really bad. And you can see Japan has been taken as well. I knew there was something big I wanted to mention here, and there you go. So that's what pushed the Eastern Alliance all the way to -4, and the Western Alliance is at +2. Now, looking at victory cities, well, we know Israel is 1, but the Eastern Alliance can't get to it because it's been nuked all around, so it has a reprieve. Central Caliphate is one. Iran-Pakistan is one. And those are on very tenuous ground. You say, well, won't they just build in it? Not really. They only have $3 to spend this round. That's it. They got pummeled, absolutely pummeled. And that was part of the plan, right? Go after their economy so that after you nuke them, they can't put anything in there anyway. So likely this game will end this turn unless there is some, by some miracle, I actually don't see how it can happen, that the Eastern Alliance can take a victory city. I just don't see it mathematically happening. I just can't happen. Denmark was taken back again. But even if they had like 3 or 4 airborne and they could take a poke at Berlin, you only do 2 rounds of combat. And there are 9 units in there, so they would have to bring in at least 5 units. Everything would have to hit twice. They can't move anything out of Ukraine, Belarus because of the nuke. This guy here can only get to Central Europe, those 2 tanks. If these tanks do really, really well, they could get to Italy, but it's not a victory city, victory territory. The other victory territories over here, of course, are Taiwan and South Korea, neither of which can be gotten to by the Chinese. I did build an airborne unit for them there, but it got wiped out. Yeah, I think it's over. But we're going to play out this last round, see what we come up with. Maybe there's something that just isn't apparent right now, but once I get playing, oh, right, I can do that. And we'll see if we can hold on for one more round here and deny the West the easy win here on turn 4. We'll see. Well, it's all over but the crying and the radiation sickness, because holy cow, so many rads flying around right now. I'm not saying it's nuclear winter, but I'm not saying it ain't. So, we are going to, in real time, show you the battle for North Korea, because North Korea, they could only place 1 unit there. They couldn't move anybody in because it had just been nuked. And now we're going to have the battle for it. So we've got 1 infantry going against 1 infantry. But we also have the helicopter coming in. We also have 3 fighters coming in. 1, 2, 3. We also are going to drop an airborne unit in, because why not? He's starting at an airport. And this guy can go on the LHD and drop in as well. And we're going to grab a drone and we'll attach it to a fighter to kick it up. Well, the 2 dice. Doesn't really kick up the punch of it, as it were. Alright, so we're going to show you this in real time. We got 1 shot. 1 shot. So if we get this, that's the game. That's the best we could do. We were able to bulk up Iran-Pakistan with some Russian gear and help the Caliphate out. This would have been an option too, because we can fly 1, 2, 3. We can fly like 3 fighters, a chopper, move this guy, bring this guy in the LHD. We can actually go out here, grab these 2 guys instead, or put them on the American one and bring them, right? So we could probably do the Central Caliphate as well. But I thought Korea, after the nonsense it's gone through here, this would be a good one. All right, so we're going to start with the airborne, because why not? Needed 2. Not there. All right, we have the infantry. Yeah, you didn't know what you're doing there. And we've got the Korean infantry. Okay, guys, you know there's a war on, right? Helicopter. Uh-oh. Getting a little worried. Ah, there we go, the fighters. The fighter got it. Not a fighter, so that kills him. We'll see if he goes out with a whimper or with a roar. That would be a whimper. All right. So this is, of course, a victory point. So we're going to move on over here to the chart. Gaining a victory point, but also losing a victory point. That's an auto loss for the East. And we are just in turn 4. Too many nukes, and the charge of the Heavy Brigade here in Central Europe, I think, were the major causes of the poor showing by the East today. I've done a few games of this, and the East tend to do pretty well when you're just a little less crazy. But when you start firing the nukes around, if you don't get them where you need them and you don't hit as hard as you need to, that reply can certainly hurt. Plus, it did cost them, right? Cost them 2 victory points, so they could be here right now, right? But they're firing the nukes. So I think if the East keeps it conventional, they have a better chance of winning, to tell you the truth, because they've got a decent economy and they got more stuff on the board where they need it. So India, poor India, got nuked twice. A lot of places got nuked twice. They seem to all get a bit of love. So, well, hopefully you enjoyed that. Now, if I made any mistakes, go ahead and point it out in the comments below. It is tough playing solo. You do forget some things. I'll personalize it. I forget some things when I play solo. I'm also filming, and sometimes I forget, oh, you got to do this first, or you didn't do that right, or those units can't go there, or something like that. But hey, it's just a solo game. Nothing on the line here except the last however long you took to watch this video. So hope you have yourselves a great week coming up. This is the Victoria Day weekend here in Canada, thanks to the Queen Victoria being born, and whenever that was, 200 years ago, or about that, I guess, maybe longer. And yes, we have the May long weekend. Well, it's just about over now, so I got to go do some marking and get ready for school. So that'll be fun. All right, well, thanks for watching, folks. As we always say, hug your loved ones. Never know when it's going to be the last hug, so don't mean to be dismal or anything, but we have friends who just went through that, right? You want to make sure that you just let everybody know that you care about them and that you're really glad they're around. Thank your friends for playing with you, and as with the Western Alliance, may those dice be with you.